Hi, my name is Erick Alejandro Barraza, and this is evidence number 3 of contemporary work taught by my fabulous teacher, Maria Magdalena. So, in this evidence, we will talk about globalization and why did the globalization emerge, about the terrorism and what caused the terrorism attacks in the 20th century, the unipolar world, and how does the end of the Cold War are related with the unipolar world, and the digital era, and how does the digital era influence today's society. Okay, let's keep going. Globalization. So, the globalization definition is the worldwide movements toward economic, financial trade, and communication integration. This means that anything that is worldwide, from economy to communications, is related to globalization. This means if I'm in Facebook and I add somebody from China and that person tries to sell me a phone, we are talking about globalization. Why? Because we are applying the economic feature, trades between China and Mexico, communication, and that's pretty much what we apply there. So, why did the globalization emerge? After World War II, all the wars saw the need to help one another, establishing new trades to easier the business and communication worldwide. So, imagine this. You have passed through one war which has put your country on the ground. After this, then here comes a man, which is sort of crazy. I think we have seen this lately. And tell a super nation, no, we have to go into war. So there is war. At the end, this person didn't succeed what he wanted to do. But even though you win, your economy is on the ground. Why? Because even if you win something, you have already used money for that war. So after this, the countries start saying like, okay, we don't have money and we don't have resources. So me, I'm Spain, and there's the Philippines. So Philippines, I don't know, needs oil, and Spain needs bread. So Spain and the Philippines, it's one example. I'm clarifying. And say like, okay, the trades that we have right now, the rules that we use, are not going to allow us to buy you in the quantities we need. So we have to change them. This happened all around the world. So everyone was buying things one from another because they need it, because they didn't have it and they didn't have money to do it. So after this, the globalization emerged, because as we need one another, we start applying rules and helping one another. And here's a video if you want to look at it later. The terrorism. The definition of terrorism is the use of violence and threats to intimidate or coerce, especially for political purposes. So, in most cases, what caused the terrorism attack of the 20th century? This is kind of a funny part. The causes of terrorism most of the time aren't bad causes. Actually, they are kind of noble causes, especially for the people that cause terrorism. Most of the people that do terrorism do it because of their religion beliefs, because of their love to their motherland, their love to their neighbors, to politics and economy. So when you see, and this is an example also, that a Muslim has an terrorism, maybe you're going to believe, oh, this man is crazy. And perhaps he might be, but he's doing it because his religion says he has to do it. So his cause is a noble cause. He is not just like, I'm gonna kill these people. He's like, I'm doing it for Allah. Or also, if you're in a very oppressive country, maybe you might do terrorism. Why? Because with terrorism, you think you can change the way people think or act in your country. And perhaps it can help, but terrorism, it's not the way that you should do it. So, moving on. Unipolar world. The concentration of power in one. This doesn't mean that the one which has the power has absolute power over everyone else, but it does mean that its influence affects in a great way how others act in consequences. So what are we meaning about this? How somebody can have power but not absolute power? Picture this. You are in the school. So in the school, obviously, there are popular persons and not so popular ones. And people which is not popular at all. So one popular person obviously is not going to be just like run, and you has to run because he doesn't own absolute power over you. But everyone else is going to start seeing that you didn't do it, and perhaps they might start treating you in not a so nicely way because you didn't do what that person asked. So this is kind of what is happening right now with US and all over the world. US is a superpower. So what it does, and to who it does it, affect to everyone, and everyone look at it. And if US starts a war with China or with France, most of the people is going to be like, okay, if US is doing it, why we don't do it? Why we don't help US to conquer their goal? How does the Cold War related to unipolar world? So before Cold War, we had multipolar world and bipolar world. After this one, unipolar world came out because US was one of the nations that didn't lose so much money and still have most of its power. And because of this, as most of the people didn't have power at all, this created an unstable world in which every superpower that was before is trying to become a leading nation right now, instead of trying to help one another to develop new technologies or create a better world. So, US still having money, the other ones doesn't. And US, instead of saying like, okay, I'm gonna help you, I'm going to try that you have new technology, that your economy is stable again, is like, no, back up. I have the power and you don't, and I want to earn more and yet you doesn't earn, so I have more power than you. So obviously this kind of attitude creates a bad ambient between the countries. And this makes the other countries, instead of being like, oh, thank you, be like, you know what, as you are being mean with me, I gonna try to become a superpower to take you over. And this is unipolar world and why it creates an unstable world. At the end we have the digital era. The digital era is an era intimately associated with technology of information and from communication. Okay, this is kind of a good definition, but no as easy as it is. Right now we are at the digital era. Most of us doesn't know somebody at all that doesn't own either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, a cell phone, a computer, or Wi-Fi at their houses. If you know somebody who doesn't have none of this, probably they are tarahumaras or something like that that doesn't know or can't own one. So, digital era is all around us. How does digital era influence today's society? As I mentioned, in the way that people communicate and how fast nowadays we can find information, people, and things that we enjoy in our everyday life. Speaking with our parents, we can see that before, if they have homework, they have to go to a library and look for information. Today, we just open our smartphone and look for it. And that's better. We communicate. If I want to speak with my best friend, I just send him an inbox or a text. If I have to speak with my mother, I just call her or send her an email. Even if I has to do something which is going to not allow me to deliver a homework, I can send an email to my teacher saying like, you know what, I had a crash and I'm not going to be able to deliver you this homework. Will you give me one more day to deliver it, to submit it? So digital era is associated in today's society because everyone uses it. It's something very common. It's something that perhaps if we lost it today, if today we use technology and tomorrow we can't, most of us are not going to be able to get over it so fast. And that's digital era. Here are some other complementary videos about terrorism, unipolar world, digital era. Some of them are crash course video. So if you like them, you can look at them at YouTube. And these are the APA entries. Okay, thank you very much. So, the important events of the past decades. South Africa's Nelson Mandela freedoms. February 9, 1990s. This person was someone that was fighting for the rights for the black people. He was put in jail because of he was fighting for his rights, and that was that. He went 27 years in jail, and when he break free, he turns to the new president of South Africa. Then there's the death of Pablo Escobar in December 2nd of 1993. He was the biggest narco in the whole history, so this is a pretty important event. And the fall of the Twin Towers in September 11th of the 2001. The Twin Towers were actually the first big event of terrorism. Everybody wanted to sell the Twin Towers because they were big, they were amazing back then. And then they were all destroyed by terrorists. And this was the biggest terrorism event of the 2000s.